Hello everyone. So today we'll be talking about map method, filter method, and reduce method of JavaScript, and also very basics of functions. I wanted to talk about function a bit later, but as we can see, we are already using functions here. So we are passing in this part is a function. So let's go ahead and see how to write functions and what are functions. So functions are one of the fundamental building blocks in JavaScript. A function in JavaScript is similar to a procedure. It is similar to a procedure, yes. A set of statements that performs a task or calculates a value. But for a procedure to qualify as a function, it should take some input and return an output where there is some obvious relationship between the input and the output. So basically the function will take some input and then do some modifications with it and then return an output. To use a function you must define it somewhere in the scope from which you wish to call it. Okay, so let's talk about scope and other stuff in our later videos. For now just try to focus on functions. So functions will usually will take input and then do something with the input and then provide an output. Usually there are other cases as well where the function will not return a value or the function will not take an input. Let's go ahead and see how do we use functions in JavaScript. So in JavaScript we use function like this. We type function and then define the function name. Let's say log 10. This is our function name, and then brackets, first brackets, and then curly brackets, and then let's say console.log 10. Oh, sorry, 10. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is a function, and to get a result from a function, let's say we run the code now. We are not using browser today because to understand function we don't need the browser. We can just see the results here. So let's go ahead and run our script like this, node script.js. Make sure you have node installed in your computer, node.js. Let me show you briefly how do you get it. Node.js, just search Node.js like this, go to this website and then download for Windows like this, click on it and then install it, and then it should be installed, and then you can use node script.js, the file name script.js. You must be in the same directory as well. I'm in the same directory, so let's go ahead and run node script.js, and we get nothing. Why do we get nothing? Because we haven't called the function yet. Let's go ahead and call the function. How do we call a function? Just name the function like this and then use the first bracket once again. So let's save it and let's go ahead, and as you can see we are getting 10 here because we are console logging 10. So we must use function keyword like this and then define a name of that function, and then we must call that function down below by using the name and then use first brackets like this, and we are good to go. Now we should get 10 and 10 twice, and yes, we are getting 10 and 10 twice. So this is the very basic of a function. Let's go ahead and try to give it some input. So let's see how we take input. We take input by defining that we're taking an input right in the function definition. So this is the function definition. So we are defining a function first, and then we're calling the function or executing the function, if you will. So let's say we want this to get a number and then console log that number, not 10. Okay, so let's save it. Let's clear it by Control L and then press the upper key to go to the last command. We don't want to keep writing node script.js every time we run this script.js, right? So just press the up key and you should get this same command. And now we get undefined. Why do we get undefined? because this function is now expecting a number in the argument. So this is a parameter. When we're defining a function and we're defining that we want an input, that is a parameter, and when we give the function an input, that is an argument. So let's go ahead and give it an argument, like let's say 2, and let's run the node script.js again, and we get 2 and undefined. Let's give it 3 and clear it, Control L, and let's go ahead and run node script.js once again, and we get, okay, we get 2 and undefined. Okay, I guess because we are calling the same function once again, so it is now confused, I guess. I'm not sure why, but let's go ahead and run 3 here, and we should see 3. Yeah, we're seeing 3, but this should have worked as well. I'm not sure why it's not working. Let's go ahead. Yeah, this is now working. Why wasn't it working previously? I'm not sure. I must have misspelled the function name or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, you should be able to call it as many times as you want, and you should be able to get the same results every time. Let's go ahead and log 10 as the name suggests. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay, let's clear it out, Control L, and then up arrow in your keyboard, and we get 3, 4 and not 10. Oh, we didn't save, actually, my bad. I must have not saved the last time as well. You make sure to save. And how do we know we didn't save? Just look here, we are getting a dot. If we press Ctrl S, the dot is now gone and the file is now saved and should be showing you 3, 4 and 10. Okay, so this part is a parameter and this part is an argument. So this is the very basics of function, and let's go ahead and try to modify it. As we've said previously that we want to take an input and then modify a bit and then return an output. Let's go ahead and see that. So we're doing what we're doing now is defining in the function that we want to take an input and then multiply it with 2 every time and then log it. So we are providing an argument of 3 here, so we should be getting 6 out of here, and we should be getting 8 out of here, and we should be getting 20 out of here. Let's go ahead and run that, and we get 6, 8 and 20. Because we are in our function definition, we are taking that input and we are doing some modifications in here. We are saying okay, multiply it with 2, whatever number we're getting. But this parameter part can be anything. We can say this to be value, let's say, but then you have to use this part in your function definition everywhere. However many times you want to log, let's say we want to log value and then value into 2. The whole function definition should be using that as a value and not anything else. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. So we get 3, 6, 4, 8, 10, 20. So we are running the function and we're getting 3, and then we're getting value into 2, so 6, and then we're running this 4 as the value, and then we're getting 4 into 2, which is 8, and then we're running with this argument, which is 10. So we're doing 10 and then multiplying with 2, and we are getting 20. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we can do with multiple inputs. Let's say we want a value and we want a number, and we want to do the number into 2, and we want to just log the value. Let's say not value but string, and then define the function like this, log 10, and then go for the first argument should be a string. So let's go for how are you, and then go for a number like 30, and let's save and clear the console. Control L and then up arrow, and then we get a number into 2, which is the argument passed here, into 2, so 60, and then we log the string which we have provided right here. So how are you? So as I've mentioned previously that we want to take an input and then return the value, and now we are not exactly returning it, we are just console logging it, so it is showing us in the log, but we are not returning anything. Let's say we don't log here. Let's go for comment, and let's do the same thing here, number into 2, and then go for string. So we are not returning this. Let's go ahead and run node script.js, and we are not getting anything because we are not returning it, but we have the values right here. If we console log, we would get the values, but we are not returning it. A function can only have one return value and not multiple return values. So let's go ahead and return number into 2 and string. So now if we return, what do we get? Still nothing. Why is that? Because the function have returned it, but this is just our console log, so we must wrap this function inside the console log to see the output, because this function is just returning you this value, it is not logging it. So we are now doing this console log and then invoke the function like this, log10, and then providing a string and then providing a number. Let's go ahead and try to log this, and we get how are you, and not number 2, number into 30. Why? Maybe we are doing it wrong, I guess. Let's try string, and yeah, we're getting how are you, not comma. Okay, so now we're just getting 60. Why is that? We can have only one return value, that's why. Maybe let's try to wrap this in an object, and okay, something must be wrong here. Let me double check. Let's just try to return the string and it works. If we try to return the number, should be working as well. Oh no. Why is that? We're getting how are you and not the number. So now we have provided it one argument, but it is expecting 2 arguments. Let's say text. Let's make this text, and let's go for 2 of the arguments we have here. So now we're just getting the 30 and not the number. Let's go ahead and do the previous thing, text number. Not sure why is it not working. Let me Google it. Function not returning 2 arguments. Okay, so we cannot actually return 2 values from a function. We must return 1 value. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Let's create another variable, and let's do value equal to text plus number. I know this is weird, but bear with me. Okay, so now we are getting text plus number, the value, but if we do comma, can we do comma? We can't actually. Okay, let's just make this an object. Okay, so now we are getting text as how are you and number as 30, why we're getting key as text and number, because this is how we have defined it. We want the text to be the key and the value of the text to be the value, and then the number as the key and the number as the value. Okay, so this is the pretty basic of function. Let's not dive deep. We will be diving deeper in our next videos, but I wanted to talk primarily about map, filter and reduce here, but I had to talk about functions because in map we are doing functions like this. Oh, I actually forgot to show you guys the arrow functions. So this is how we define a function. Usually we can do arrow functions as well. For that we must create a variable, and let's say I wanna go for array func. So this is an array function, so we define the value like this and then create a function like this and create an arrow like this, and let's do log of arrow function. Okay, so let's go ahead and we don't need to log array func. Actually, let's just do array func and just call it, because as I've mentioned previously, we just need to invoke the function. If we have a log inside, it is not returning any value, but we will see the log, and as you can see we are getting the array function in return. Why are we getting a return here? So array function can be like this as well. So when we have curly braces like here, we must have a return value. If we run this function now, it is still logging it, but it is not returning anything. Let's go ahead and try the return here. Return and then log the whole function inside. Actually, JavaScript functions are very huge and it needs to dive deep to understand a bit better, but we wanna just talk about really basics here. So let's go for no return, just add a function, and we get undefined because there is no return keyword. We must have a return keyword here to get the value, and we're getting the value now. But if we remove the curly braces, it implies that we have just only one line of value to return. So it is automatically adding a return here. We cannot see it, and as you can see we're getting a return value. We have not logged the value here, but we are getting a value in return, because when we have one liners of return, we don't need in terms of array. Not array, sorry, my bad. Arrow functions. When we have a arrow function, we don't need a return keyword, because when we have a single line of value, single line of value, we don't need the return keyword, because it automatically implies that return this line. But when we have multiple line, let's say we have array function and we have hello world or stuff like that, we will need a return value, and we can just have one return value, and we are getting hello world now. If we do return here and return there, return means just exit out of the function. So as you can see, this part is now grayed out, so it is saying unreachable code detected. So when the JavaScript engine runs and it reads return here, this just returns this value and gets out of this function. This line is not even read. So let's go ahead and keep one return value, and as you can see we're getting array functions. So the main reason I wanted to show you guys function and array function, because we are providing a function to map right here, to filter right here. We are providing a function, but we were not understanding what we're doing, what we're providing in the map function, map method. Okay, so let's go ahead and see some map stuff now. Functions are, we have understood function a bit now. Let's go ahead and grab the array and then try to map it like this, and let's go ahead and log map1, run the function, and we get twice the value. We have an array of 1, 4, 9, 16, but we are logging map1, which have taken the array1 and then run a map and then run a function which is then returning x into 2, which is taking x as an argument and then doing x into 2 in our map function and returning the value of double of these values. So we are getting 1, 2, 4, 8, 9, 18, 16, 32. Let's understand what's going on here. Let's make another array. Let's say array 2 and make 3, 6, 5, 7, 10, let's say. And let's go for a map2 and array2 dot map, and now we are calling this function, invoking this function and passing an argument which is another function which is x. Let's not say x, let's say number, and then arrow function which will be returning the number. Let's just do number like this, and let's go for log of map2 and run the code here, and we get 3, 5, 7, 10. Let's comment this out to avoid confusion. So now we get 3, 5, 7, 10. We are getting the exact same number back because the map returns an array with modified values or same values. If we want to keep it same, we are saying return the same number. Let's say we want to multiply it with 3. Now run the code, save, and then run the code. We're getting 3 into 3, 9, 5 into 3, 15, 7 into 3, 21, and so on. Let's say we want to do number -3. So let's go ahead and run this. So 3 minus 3, we're getting 0. 5 minus 3, we're getting 2. 7 minus 3, we're getting 4. And you get the picture. So map is going over each and every element of this and going with taking this as an argument. So this number is now 3 at first, and then it says okay, 3 minus 3, return the value of 0 in another object. And let's go ahead and put 5 as the number and then do 5 minus 3, so 2, and then 7 as the number, 7 minus 3, 4, and 10 minus 3, we're getting 7. So basically it is creating another array and then storing the new modified values. Let's go ahead and log array 2. So array 2 is just like that, it has not changed, and as you can see it is 3, 5, 7, 10, 3, 5, 7, 10, 0, 2, 4, 7. This is creating a new array. This map2, this map function is creating a new array and then putting all the values in the map2 variable as an array. So it is creating a new array every time with the modified values by a function right here. Whatever we define in this function, it will happen. Let's say we want to do number into number, so squaring it. Let's run this and we get 9, 25, 49, and 100, which is the squared value of these array elements. Okay, so map is just going for, let me actually go ahead and show you guys what's going on behind the scene. Let's go for not this, instead run debug. Let's use Node.js. Yes. Okay, so now we are going for map, and as you can see, okay, so we want to do F11 to move one step into the function, like step into, yes, F11, and then step over or continue, whatever. Let's go for F11 once again, and as you can see, the number is now 3. It is going over each and every element of this array, and now we are into this function and we do number into number. So we have return value of 9, so it is now going to return 9 in the new array, and the number is now 5, and number into number, return value would be 25. So this is a function, and the return value is defined here by stepping over one step. We are doing F11 and we are getting the return value 7 into 7, 49. So we are doing 10 now, and then going for return value of 100, and then map2 will have this value which will be logged here shortly. And yeah, as you can see, this is now logged. Okay, so map function is basically going over each and every element, just like filter element here. So if we do filter here, it does pretty much the same thing, because it iterates over each and every element once again and then filter out the condition whatever we define in our function. So it is taking a function as well. Let's copy this stuff, and then we go. Oh, my bad, I have pasted it in the terminal. Okay, so we have word spray limit these words, and then we have a result to show what will be the filtered value of this. And let's go ahead and see what will be the result. So what we are doing here, we must understand what we are doing here now. So what we are basically doing here is we are saying, okay, words dot filter. So this is an array, and we're doing words dot filter, and then saying take each and every word and then check the length. As we know, array has a property of length. We can array has a property of length, so words have a property of length as well. We can check the length. So this is saying whatever property has length more than 6. So 1 2 3 4 5, this one is 5, this one is 5, this one is 5, so all three of them are out, and then these will be left. So filter these out and print these in the console. It is actually returning the values, but returning an array just like map, but we are logging it, and it is result the result is returned by filter. And as you can see, we're getting these words right here which are length more than 6. Let's reverse the condition and say less than 6. We want the words with less than 6, and we get spray limit elite, the other three, not these with more than 6 value length. Let's go ahead and create a new array. Let's say we want another array of numbers, and we go 3 50 40 20 500. And why are we getting this error here? Oh, we have already declared numbers here. Let's comment this one out. So let's comment this out to avoid confusion. Yeah, so let's go for result once again, and we go numbers dot filter, my bad, filter, and we go number as an argument, and then we go number which are let's say less more than 20, and let's log the result, and then clear the terminal and do node script.js. So we are just logging the filtering out the values which is more than 20. So 3 is not more than 20, so it is now gone. So 50 is more than 20, so 50 is logged. 40 is more than 20, 40 is logged. 20 is not more than 20, it is equal to 20, so it is excluding that as well. Finally 500 is of course more than 20, so we are logging 500 in the array as well. Okay, so this is how filter works. You provide a condition and then checks the filter method checks the condition and then filter the array accordingly. So you must remember that this filter method is creating another array and not the same array. We can log numbers here as well. Console.log numbers, and we get numbers as the same array: 3 50 40 20 500. and this is filter method, and this is the result variable is having a new array itself. Okay, so reduce is a bit tricky, so we must pay our full attention here. Reduce is basically to calculate the sum of elements inside of arrays. Let's say we have 1 2 3 4, so initial value will be 0. So to use reduce method, we must provide it a function and a secondary argument of initial values. So let's say let's just log this one out and understand what's going on. Let's do a log, and we get, what do we get? Okay, so we are getting the oh, I haven't saved, my bad. As you can see, we have a dot right here. Let's save this, not s here, and as you can see, we get 10. Why are we getting 10? Because array.reduce is providing the whole array and then providing an accumulator and the current value. So then we are adding the accumulator and the current value with the initial value. So initial value is 0. We are stating it in the variable. We can do it like this as well, and the result would exactly be the same. You can do it either way. So the reduce is taking the 0 here and then adding 1 from this array, 2 from this array, 3 from this array, and 4 from this array. So what we are doing here is providing a function which is just taking 2 arguments. So this is taking argument of this array and iterating over each and every one, keeping the accumulator and the current value. So let me show you guys what's going on behind the scene by using the debugger once again. Okay, let's go ahead, and as you can see, we have accumulator of 0. Accumulator is 0 because initial value is 0. Accumulator just takes the total value, which is now 0. We have set the initial value to be 0, and then we are doing accumulator of 0, and current value is 1. It is now going over each and every element of this array, so it is now at 1, and then it will just add these two values, current and accumulator. Let's go ahead and see, and as you can see, the return value is 1, so the sum is now 1. And let's go ahead and for the next number, and the sum is now the accumulator, so it is just keeping the value whatever we are adding. So 0 plus 1 is now 1, and the current value, the when we are iterating over the array, we're going with each and every element, so it is now done. So this is now we are at current value, so current value is 2, and let's go ahead and add them, and we get 3. So accumulator will be now 3, and current value is also 3 because we have 3 here. So 3 and 3 6, accumulator will be 6, and accumulator is now 6, and then we have 4. 6 plus 4 will be the return value, and it is now will be returned because the array is done here, and we get 10 as the result right here in our debugger console and not the terminal, because we haven't run it in the terminal. If we do node executable here, and we get 10 here, debug console will return this part if you run and debug. It is mostly for debugging, which we'll be learning later on, but let's just understand we can add a breakpoint and then hit run and debug and see what's going on behind the scene. I really hope you guys explore all of these by yourself. I will just guide you. You have to explore these yourself and have fun while we are doing it. Okay, so let's just create our own array and go for the accumulator function, and I mean the reduce function, to understand things better. Let's say numbers once again, and we go for 2, 50, 40, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, whatever, it doesn't matter. JavaScript will do it in seconds. We might take some time, but JavaScript doesn't take time. I mean, it does take time, but not that much. It is much faster than us. Okay, so let's go ahead and do sum, which will be numbers dot reduce, and then it will take two arguments, which will be the accumulator and the current value. We don't need it to be exactly accumulator and current value. We can pass anything here. It will automatically take each and every element from the array as current, and accumulator will be added to the initial value. So let's go ahead and do accumulator plus current. So we are saying add the current value to the accumulator, and we provide the initial value as 0. Let's do with 10. So our initial value will be 10, and let's log sum, and let's go for node script.js. Okay, so initial value is now 10, and then all of these added will be 349. So what we're doing here is initial value is 10, accumulator will be 10, and then go for the current value, which is 2, then add these two, 10 and 2, 12, and then it will go once again and iterate over the second one, and then accumulator will be 12 plus 50, 62, and then current will move to 40, and then add these two, and just like this it will provide the whole sum of this array. If you want it to be 0, usually you want it to be 0 to get the whole sum of this array, because we want to add from 0 and then add all of these to get an accurate result, which is 339. But if we want, we can do start from 100 as well. So now we'd get 439, because we are starting from 100. This is the starting point. We should provide 0 to get a sum, 0, and then it is going over each and every element of this function. Let's go ahead and see, try to run it in run and debug, and let's go press F11 and go to debug console, and now we get current as 2 and accumulator as 0, because we have set the initial value to be 0. So when accumulator doesn't have any value, it is going to take value from initial value and provide 0, and then take the current, which is going over this array. Current is now 2, so we should get 2 as current, and then return value is 2, and it will be added to the accumulator. And then we have current value as 50, because it is the second element of this array, and we get 50 as the current, and accumulator is 2, because last one was 2, 0 plus 2 equal to 2. And now we are getting 52 in return value, and accumulator will be now 52, and now add the next one, 40. So we should get 92 as return value, and this will be now accumulator, and 92, and add with current. And this is how reduce method is working. So you need to provide an initial value as an argument. It is the second argument, and this function right here is the first argument. So the first argument is a function, which is what you want to do with this function. Let's go ahead and try to do it other way. Let's provide it with minus. So we are not trying to add everything, we're trying to minus everything, whatever, and we're getting minus 337, as you can see, because we're starting from 0 and then doing not division, what is the word, I forgot. We are reducing it. However, this is why the method is called reduce, and map is just saying map because we're mapping over each an element and then doing some modifications through the function. Filter is pretty much the same as I've said. It is filtering out the values from an array, and reduce is adding all of the array numbers with accumulator and current value and initial value. So we have another method, which is for each. So for each doesn't return an array like map. It loops over each and every element as well. Let's keep the numbers here, and let's go for numbers dot for each, and then log it. Let's go ahead and run this. and we get 124, 50, 40, and 123. So it does not have a return value actually. If we do this and log this, we are getting nothing because it does not have a return value. It is not returning anything. It will just do whatever you tell it to do. We can log the elements individually. It is not providing us an array, as you can see. We're going for numbers dot for each, and then we want to do something with this. We get 124, 50, 40, and 123, and we can do multiple here as well, but it will give us separate values and not an array or any return value. It is used for other purposes and not like map. It is a bit different. So okay, that's about it. Thank you very much. I hope you understood function. We have talked about very basics of function. We will talk about functions a bit more in our upcoming videos, but for map, filter, reduce, and for each, I wanted to understand you guys what functions are, what they're doing, as we are providing functions to all of these methods: map, filter, and reduce, and for each. All of them are taking a function and doing something with the input and output. So yeah, I hope you guys understood it, and do comment below if you didn't understand anything or you have any query. I'd be happy to help. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.